Hi everybody, it's Claire from Girvan Library here, and today we are going to have another author spotlight. And the author that we are spotlighting today is Philippa Gregory. Philippa Gregory is mainly a historical novelist. These are some of her historical novels here. She also writes contemporary fiction, non-fiction and some children's fiction. But these are the books she's most well known for. They are set in the Tudor period or the War of the Roses period in the main, two really familiar historical periods to lots of people. But what makes these books fascinating is that you're looking at these well-known historical events through the eyes of the women at the time. Now, some of the women you will have heard about, some of the women you won't. There are big famous characters like Anne Boleyn and Catherine Parr and Catherine of Aragon, and then there are lesser known who are more interesting, like Mary Boleyn, who's Anne Boleyn's sister, who actually had a relationship with Henry VIII before Anne and had 2 kids with him. That's the other Boleyn girl, that's that one. Also, with the York versus the Lancaster and the War of the Roses, the Cousins' War, you'll probably have heard of Elizabeth of York. You probably have heard of her mother even, Elizabeth Woodville, who is the White Queen, that one. Elizabeth of York's the White Princess. But you might not have heard of Elizabeth Woodville's mother, Jacquetta of Luxembourg. That's the Lady of the Rivers. Fascinating characters living in really difficult times under lots of constraints, political, socio-economic. They could die in childbirth, they could be accused of witchcraft, they could be told they're going to marry some duke they've never met. Really difficult times for women. But behind the scenes, these women have their own agenda. They are manipulating circumstances, they are plotting. Margaret Beaufort, the Red Queen, she is the mother of Henry VII, the grandmother of Henry VIII, and she dedicated her whole life to getting her son on the throne, and she achieved it. She did what she set out to do. But she was a master strategist, and when you read these books from her viewpoint, she's not even that likeable, but a really intriguing character. When you read these books from her viewpoint, you see the influence and the power that she did have, even as a woman in that time, and that's what's really interesting. They're taking you not just through the main story of like Henry VIII or Henry VII, they are showing you the side stories of these women and what they went through. And it's true events and true outcomes. There's a central analogy through these books of the Wheel of Fortune. It's repeated over and over again. And the Wheel of Fortune can take you right up to the top. You can be victorious, you can be the king or queen, you can be the winner, or it can just plunge you to the bottom just as quick, where you could be exiled or executed. You could lose everything, just through circumstances, just through fate. There's a picture of it in that actually. The Wheel of Fortune. Isn't that lovely? And that is the same as today. Circumstances are going to be out with your control, and it's how you deal with them. The main kind of Wheel of Fortune analogy is how you endure, how these women endure through these really difficult circumstances that they're put in, and how they are strong and how they continue, how they progress, how they help their families, and how they do have their own agenda despite everything going on around them. They're all written in a first-person narrative from the female viewpoint, the central character, so you will feel like you're in the book going along with them. You'll feel the immediacy of the story. Most modern novels have a hook. Most contemporary fiction will have a hook to draw you in, to make you interested and to make you want to keep reading the book. In Philippa Gregory's novels, I would say the characters are the hook. You want to find out more about the characters. You already know what's going to happen. You know who's going to win and who's going to lose, but you want to know how they get there. And there's historical surprises in here that you might not have read. There's a lot of primary source referenced. In The Last Tudor, Jane Grey is in the Tower and she writes to her little sister, who you don't really hear mentioned in the history. You hear about Jane Grey, you don't really hear about her sisters. So it's interesting to see her sisters receiving this letter, which is a primary source, which does exist, and in it she's saying to her little sister, "Learn you to die." I mean, how would you feel receiving that letter? So that's what's interesting. It's taking these real life scenarios, these historical primary sources, and saying, how does the sister feel when she gets that letter? So if you've already read Philippa Gregory, which you can get on the Libby app with your South Ayrshire Council library card, you could try Anne O'Brien or Alison Weir. Alison Weir also writes non-fiction about this period. I really like Elizabeth Chadwick. She wrote a series about William Marshall. It starts off with a book called The Greatest Night. It's a 5-book series, and they're really interesting again. I didn't know anything about William Marshall until I read those books. So give them a go, and if not, try something else. Okay, bye for now.